landed in a place in my life you could call the void. It's a place where it's like the in-between stage of the old past self or the old past life and the transitioning into the new life and the new self. I'm at a position where I do seek some form of connection and do seek some form of belonging or community in some sense, but the only way I can connect right now based off the people that are around me is by sacrificing or compromising my own energy. And the reason why is because I'm at a position now where I've outgrown the vast majority of people and people that I am around. So it makes it very, very difficult to connect on that deeper level that I am now trying to connect on. The understanding isn't there on that deeper level. And by me out overreaching and stretching myself to try and meet people where they're at is only coming at a cost to myself. I'm having to sacrifice my own energy because it's leaving me feeling depleted and drained. So it puts you in a little bit of a funny space, whereas I am better off now being alone and spending this chapter of my life, or at least this part of my life, alone, because that is where I find the most peace. And I feel deep gratitude for the fact that this time alone now is where I have built up my inner sanctuary. It's where I find the most peace, and it's a place I can continually keep returning to, because throughout my life the silence and being alone is something that I have continuously tried to avoid. So if you look at just even simple relationship dynamics, it's funny because it's very contradictory to what I have just said. In relationships, I have always seemed to disconnect when I have felt overextension, or I have felt some form of emotional vulnerability, or I have had to sacrifice or more to myself in some way, shape or form. I understand that love comes with compromise, but I've always looked at that as me selling myself out or selling myself short in order to appease somebody else's wants or needs. Now, a lot of my past relationships have been built up upon trauma and codependency. I've been in 5 relationships now which have all led in heartbreak, and that was never my intention going in. My intentions are always pure, and I always wear my heart on my sleeve going into any relationship, whether romantic or just a friendship. And that's always ended up being at my detriment, and always ends up me getting hurt, or always ends up in some form of conflicting outcome, because I can once again overextend and over express my feelings towards this person. And once I feel like I am compromising or sacrificing myself or my peace, I am quick to pull away. Now, the depth as which I have entered these relationships has been very, very intense. They've been very short but very intense. I've been able to experience probably 10 years worth of experience with inside a 1 year intensive. It's like a special forces training, super fast and intense, like a boot camp, like a spiritual boot camp. But each relationship has triggered an awakening in myself, and it's been a process or an initiation to look deeper within myself. So when I look at relationships, they have been the biggest blessings for myself and my journey, because they've allowed me to tap into the repressed traits and the wounded child within myself, and allow me to see that vulnerable wounded child and shine light on the areas of myself I'm yet to do the work. And when I see that or learn that lesson, I'm quick to detach and want to sit with this inner child, or with this wound and with this knowing, and try and heal and integrate within myself. Yeah, it ends in conflict and heartbreak, but in the grand scheme of things, it has always ended in a positive on both parties, because we've both been pushed in a direction of growth as individuals. Pain is always the best teacher. Suffering is always the best teacher. And that's not saying you should always be going to seek some form of pain and suffering, but throughout my life, I have learnt the best and deepest lessons through these moments of vulnerability, through these moments of suffering. And going back to the relationships being a form of codependency and trauma response, that's coming from childhood and my upbringing. Typically a mother and a father wound. A lot of what manifested in my early relationships was through the lack of emotional connection with my father. Because there has been an emotional void or lack of emotional connection to my father, and there has been an abandonment issue within that relationship, that has manifested in me wanting to pull away and retract when I feel like I am overextending, or I am becoming too engulfed in this relationship per se. I mean, there's also been a mother wound, a parent in my life, which I've only been able to identify later on, because the mother wound is always a lot deeper. It's always a lot deeper rooted, and it's always harder to identify. Well, it is in my case, but all credit to my mother. She has been an absolute saint. She has been the best mother in the world. Although she raised me from a very, very young age and had her own emotional trauma, baggage, things that she's been dealing with, just like any human or parent typically would be carrying. It's passed down through her mother and her childhood and her upbringing. She had a very difficult upbringing, so having me at a young age, she's not been allowed that space to heal, to integrate, to regulate herself. So whatever she had been holding on to then gets passed down to me, and that's typically how it works. And once again, I'm not taking any credit away from my mother. She couldn't have done any better. She has done the best job she possibly could. No matter how much she struggled or the difficulties we faced, I always had food on the table. I always had nice clothes, or fresh clothes, nice clothes. I always had a roof over my head, a warm bed to go to sleep at the night. I always had unconditional love. But unfortunately, with there being absence of a strong masculine role model, or a masculine per se within the household, that's left me in a state of emotional vulnerability, and also a state of seeking. That lost, vulnerable childhood, always seeking some form of guidance from a masculine standpoint throughout my life. It's like the child in the supermarket who's lost his mother, and I'm lost trying to find my way. That's kind of what my trajectory through life and growing up has been like, and that has cost me a big price growing up, because I would consistently sacrifice myself in order to find some form of connection. I was only seeking love. I just wanted love and connection, and I wanted to feel that masculine guidance or presence by seeking that. I was trying to fill that void by seeking that in other people outside of me. So I would always be looking to other people or role models, but I was always extracting that from the wounded men. Because I was wounded, I was mirroring that. The men I was seeking the guidance from, or the emotional support from, was also wounded too. So it was leading me to being misguided, manipulated, and even bullied. I said I've never been bullied, but come to the realization I've actually been bullied in an indirect way all my life, because these men I've been looking to guidance to, and I've lent on for support or emotional support and guidance, I have been vulnerable and open, and it has triggered me or made me compromise myself and more to myself to meet their expectations, and it's allowed them to manipulate me and feed off my emotional vulnerability. Because I'm looking to them for guidance, I am like, I will kind of do whatever they say because I feel lost in this world. I don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to lead myself. I don't know what it actually looks like to be masculine. I've never actually seen positive masculine role models in my life, so I never knew what it was like to be a man. So I was always seeking for that externally in relationships, which once again led me down paths of chaos, destruction, crime, endless bouts of suffering. And through that chaos and through that constant rejection and emotional vulnerability that I faced, I mean, it'd constantly lead back to the same thing. I would put myself into all. I would give everything into this relationship or pursuing this form of connection. I would do anything, go to the heights to feel connected or belonging to either this person or this group, because I wanted to feel like I fit in. I wanted to feel like somebody understood me, somebody could hear me, somebody could recognize me for my worth and in all my light. Whereas that led me to having to lower myself and destroy myself to fit in with their expectations, or fit in, or just simply meet them where they was at. Because they was wounded in the self, we was simply trauma bonding in a way to meet each other's needs and requirements and feeding off each other's codependent needs and trauma responses. And because I was always wanting and needing that masculine support, that masculine role model in my life, it has led to constant betrayal and rejection, because I was never getting what I was searching for, and it always led me to frustration and anger and asking why. And a lot of it was always be blaming the outside world. I'd be like, why am I not, I'm doing all this stuff but I'm still feeling this way, I'm still feeling lost, I don't know what to do. I mean, just feeling completely that lonely young boy that had lost his way. And it was not up until, I'd say, around about lockdown time, I had the fear of life struck into me. I mean, it was a catalyst or a series of events that happened one after another that shook me. That, you know, them situations where you just get your world just shakes, it rocks your world. I had the fear of life put into me. I mean, people coming to my house, smashing vehicles and threatening, and it was just a series of events. And it was like I come to the realization, like, hold on, like, this isn't me, any of this stuff. Why do I keep doing this stuff? Who am I trying to please? Who am I trying to be? Why am I continuously going down this path when it's not giving me what I want? I am molding myself into so many different characters, putting myself in so many different boxes to try and fit in or feel like I am seen or heard, when I'm just constantly it's leading me just to feeling even more lonely and even more abandoned than I did when I started this pursuit. So that's where the quest started, of me pursuing, or just coming to the understanding that there's nobody around me, there's nobody here. I'm all alone here in this world. There's nobody out here who can show me the way. There's no guidance, there's no support. I cannot see anybody. And that realization led me to then go deeper within myself to look for guidance within myself. So that was the beginning of me beginning to rely on myself more so other people. And having to understand that I'm going to have to be my own father and play the father role. So it was me on the quest to seek what it was or what it took to be a man. Now, starting on the egoic pursuit, of course, trying to fulfill my masculine desire of pursuing things, getting in good shape and getting the women and the money and the hustling and the grinding and the tryhard and going down all that stuff. But once again, that was also rooted in trauma and the pursuit of external validation, trying to get my needs met, or trying to get that little boy just wanted to be seen, he wanted to be heard. So after going through all that and also leading me back to the same point, this isn't bringing me the fulfillment. It's led me to consistently keep pursuing and digging deeper and deeper within myself to try and reparent that wounded little boy who has been scared and vulnerable and asking for guidance. And because I have had no role models and no support, I have had to reparent myself. I have had to become the father and mother of my own inner child. And it's led me to being fiercely dependent. And it's led me to this void in my life through a series of initiations and a series of unfolding and subtracting and just having constant layers and layers being stripped off of me. Because once you go through the process of adding on, which is what I was speaking about previously, I was constantly trying to get things outside of me. I was more new relationship, new car, money, new friendship group, new party, new setting, new holiday, new clothes. It was always addition. Once you realize that none of that is bringing you fulfillment and none of that is going to give you what you are looking for, it then becomes the script begins to flip. You then go through the process of elimination. You then start to subtract all the things that you have got in your life that you feel like are pulling you back. So I started to clear out all my relationships, start to target all my habits, my addictions, my tendencies, my everything that I seen was having some form of detriment to my life. I began to clear out the space, and this process is still ongoing. I'm still subtracting, I'm still pulling back layers, I'm still getting closer to myself every single day. But this process has led me to a place where I am now, where I've found a deep state of inner peace within myself, a deep state of equilibrium through the chaos, the suffering, the heartbreak, and the continuous betrayal and negative feedback I have had from the world through my own actions and behaviours. It has led for me to build this kingdom within myself that I am willing to die to protect, because I have been to hell and back to retrieve this inner peace within myself. I am not willing to compromise that for anything or anyone. And this is why I'm finding it difficult, because I still have a yearning to connect. It's a deep human desire. I would be lying to myself if I was to tell you that I didn't still want to connect in some way, shape or form. But the connection that I am searching for is on a much deeper level than anyone around me seems to be able to provide. Now, it isn't like a want or a need anymore. I've found the state within myself where I am happy to be alone. And this is why I spend the vast majority of my life alone, because this is where I feel most at peace. This is where I feel most in my power. This is where I feel most energized. I built this sanctuary within myself through the constant journey of pulling myself apart. And that journey is never ending. It's always going to be ongoing. There's always going to be more and more layers you can subtract from yourself. But it also leads me in a predicament with relationships, because I have never had a really strong desire to play the family role. I have children, marriage, house, kids. I know it's societal expectations and societal norms, but that is also some people's destiny. I hold a testament to people that are able to hold down that dynamic and play them roles, because I know how much of a bigger responsibility it is. And this is another question I was asking: what does it actually mean to become a man? Does it mean being responsible for something outside of yourself, or does it just simply mean being responsible to yourself in dedication and devotion to the mission and divine purpose? I always thought that the only desire I had to have a family and children and kids is because I thought that would make me feel more of a man. I thought if I'm responsible for this woman, this house, this child, this kid, this dynamic, then I am then a man. That was also me trying to prove my self-worth by displaying responsibility outside of myself. And that's not me dismissing this, and that's not the case for everybody. I'm just explaining my point of view on the situation. And because when I've been able to analyze that and acknowledge that, actually, hold on a minute, this isn't actually a strong desire of mine. So when I've come to relationships now, it is, and I've had to overstretch or compromise and sacrifice, because let's not deny, no matter how grown or authentic or how much in your essence you are, or how healed you are, relationships come with compromise. Relationships come with some sacrifice, because if you think of it like a plant, if you stop watering the plant is going to die. If you stop tending to the relationship, eventually it is going to die. If you keep watering the plant, it will flourish. My question would be, do I need to then constantly subtract from myself or take from myself in order to allow this relationship to flourish? And because I don't see massive value in the romantic relationship and the family dynamic per se, it's hard for me to sacrifice and overextend in order to keep watering this relationship when the end goal of the family isn't there. And my number one goal right now is to firstly keep tending to my own sanctuary, keep watering my own garden and tending to my own inner peace. I built this castle in this kingdom within myself. I want to fight to protect it. So unless it is going to complement the peace and also complement the mission and direction, I want to serve the divine. I want that divine purpose to now channel through me, and this is kind of the in-between stage I am currently in. I'm waiting. The old self has died. The hustle mindset, the chasing money, the grind, that's dead now. I cannot go back to that. Even if I tried, it would repulse me, it repel me. So I'm now awaiting this new inner sense of divine purpose to start channeling through me. I'm waiting for the divine to start then channeling through me and being guided by spirit, rather than me pushing my way through life trying to seek something outside of myself. And it is a bit of a difficult state, because it's like I'm used to constantly be doing something, or I'm constantly used to validating my self-worth based on productivity. So I'm having to decode and uncode that programming that my self-worth is based off how productive I am and my achievements or accolades. So this is also healing within this process as well. And I can see it. I can see the vision clearly. It's just cultivating that new energy and allowing myself to approach this new mission with a little bit of a slower pace. It doesn't need to be constantly forced and rushed, and everything needs to be pressure. And like this new energy that I'm stepping into, I am integrating now, is a lot slower pace. The missions, it's in process, but it's moving at a more of a fluid. It's more of a fluid motion rather than intensive bursts. It's more of a fluidity. It flows. Things are getting done, but at a much slower pace. And this is allowing me to stay regulated and avoid burnout, and allows me to keep my inner peace protected. I could hustle, I could grind, I could make a lot of money, I can be successful, but that's going to come at the cost of my peace. And like I just said previously, the peace is my number one goal, the peace and the purpose. But I would not sacrifice the purpose, sacrifice my peace for my purpose now, because they both coincide. I need to, in order for me to serve the divine, I need to be in a state of peace. I need to be regulated. I need to be grounded in my energy. Otherwise, it's just going to manifest in chaos and destruction. And I'm just going straight back to the same patterns I have just worked so hard to break free from. So yeah, I'm going into 25 minutes here. I'm trying to think if I covered everything. But yeah, it's just, I'm going to keep updated on this process, because it's like a death and rebirth after the initial awakening that I've just been through, the initiation through the previous relationship that I've been through, which I will speak about in another video, because that deserves a video in of itself. But through this, it's left me now in this space where it's like, am I waiting for something to happen? But it's now, I've come to the realization where you need to co-create, you need to let the divine and the spirit channel through you, but it's your responsibility now as well to move this vehicle down here on earth. You control the vehicle, the God controls the movement and the direction. So yeah, it's the integration period, and I'm going to leave that there at 25 minutes. I hope you found value in this. Gone quite deep on that one. So yeah, I'm signing out on that, iPhones. Peace.